good afternoon. It's episode 65 of Thursdays with Charlie. It's the 19th of August, 2021. My gosh, we've been doing this 65 times. Today's show is kind of a hodgepodge. There was a bunch of things that I wanted to say a few words about, and I put them all together into today's show. It's a lot going on, and so I want to talk about each one, and they'll all fit together nicely anyway. So first I want to start with saying a few more words about my trip to the Ark. People were really interested in it. I actually met a few people at the weekend masses who said they were either going there or they had gone there, and it was amazing to hear about that. And then I got a lot of questions about the song that I mentioned, and I used the words in last week's show. I also used the words in Sunday's sermon for the song I'm Going There by the Triumphant Quartet. So I'll say a little bit more about that as we go on. For those who want more information about the Ark, please go online. The Ark Encounter website has some wonderful videos. There's some amazing things on it, so you'll enjoy it. But people also asked, didn't you take any photos when you were there? And I did. I took a lot of photos, and I had a lot of photos that friends of mine who were with me. There were 8 of us on the trip together there that they took and they sent to me. So what we're going to do is we'll take a little break in a moment, and I'll let you see some of those photos from my trip. But please don't hesitate. Go online, check out the Ark Encounter website, and see the ones that they've officially posted. I had a really good time there. And I think the big thing that impressed me was how huge the Ark was. I have read about the Ark all of my life in the Bible, in the book of Genesis. I knew it was big. I didn't realize how big until I actually got there. Seeing what I had read about was really amazing. It kind of reminded me of Tom Clancy. Some of you might remember Tom Clancy, a wonderful writer, Red Storm Rising and all sorts of other books that were amazing because of the detail he put in them and the detail he found out about world events to put in them. I once had an opportunity, and I know I've mentioned this before, to have lunch with Tom Clancy. I was down working at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, and Tom Clancy was coming and was going to have lunch in the Officers Club, and he put out a general invitation for anybody who might like to join him for lunch. And word went around the base like crazy, but everybody I talked to said, oh, we're not going to go. It's going to be too crowded. There'll be too many people there. And so I grabbed our senior enlisted guy and I said, we're going to lunch with Tom Clancy. And we went over there, and there were 20 people out of all of Dover Air Force Base who showed up for this luncheon. So I got to have lunch with Tom Clancy in a rather small group, and then he took questions at the end, which was really nice. And we asked him what was the most amazing thing for him when his book, Red Storm Rising, was made into a movie. And we all sat back waiting to hear what he would say. And his answer was basically, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, all of the things that I used to see in my own mind, I was now looking at with my eyes. I could see them in front of me. That's kind of how I felt seeing the Ark encounter. I had read about the story of the Ark so often, so much, so many years, but I never could visualize it outside of my mind. And seeing it there in front of me was unbelievably amazing. And you might remember that I did not bring back an owl except for a little wristband, but I was able to bring back an armadillo. And I had the armadillo at the masses this past weekend, and wouldn't you know it, but one of our parishioners was on his way out of church, and he said, "Do you know the armadillo poem?" And I said, "No, I did not know there was an armadillo poem." And he said, "Well, I'll recite it for you. Armadillo, armadillo, too soft to be a rock, too hard to be a pillow. Armadillo, armadillo." Not terribly impressive, but it is funny to have, and now I know the armadillo poem. At any rate, back to the music. Got a lot of questions on the Triumphant Quartet and their song, "I'm Going There." If you have a chance, the videos are available on YouTube. Please go and look it up. "I'm Going There" by the Triumphant Quartet. It's really an amazing video and song. And if you get a chance to see it, and you'll see the words actually on the screen, pretty much the way I saw it at the Ark Encounter at the concert, and you'll be able to remember those beautiful words. The song, after all, is about our ultimate goal. This is where we're going. I'm going there. That's the real paradise. Let me refresh you on those words once again. I'm going there where the streets are made with gold, where the milk and honey flow, will never grow old, and the land beyond compare. I'm going there where the Lamb will be the light. No more pain and no more night. It'll be all right in the place that God prepared. I'm going there. That determination and faith is a wonderful thing, and I hope that we can make good use of it in our own lives and our own faith. And that brings to mind something else I had mentioned in a previous show. I had mentioned my youngest fan, a boy named Shiloh, 3 years old in Texas, and my oldest fan, a woman in Bullhead City, Ruby Schultz, who is 97 years old. She was slated to be 98 in September, and I got a chance to visit her this week. And this is how it came about. She had given me some owls that she had collected, and when I visited her in the hospital this past week, she said, "There's one more owl picture I want to give you." And I said, "Okay, someday I will get that from you." Well, as it turned out, on the weekend, her health took a turn for the worse. And I spoke with her daughter on Monday morning, and her daughter said she's unconscious, but I think she's holding on until I give you that owl picture. So I was able to get a ride over to her house and be in the room with her, and her daughter brought in the picture. And it's this beautiful snowy owl. I'm very glad to get it. And we were able, the daughter handed it to me over her mother lying in bed and said, "Mom, I'm giving Father Charlie the picture." And I said, "Thank you so much, Ruby. I love that picture. It's a beautiful one." And I tell you, from now on, that picture is going to have such great memories for me. The amazing thing, about an hour after I left Ruby, she did die. So in a way, I think she was holding on to make sure I got that particular owl picture that she had in her house. That's going to be a wonderful memory for the rest of my life. That kind of reminded me that, look around your homes, look around your possessions. Everybody has something that has some particular wonderful memories, and I think sometimes we take those memories for granted. We don't look at the item and say, this came from so-and-so. This came from somebody I remember and love. I remember my mother when she celebrated her 80th birthday. We had a party, a big party, and people brought her all sorts of things. And I would look at some of the gifts as she was opening them, and I would say, you know, you'll never use that. What's that? What good is that and that? And my mother would just look at me and she'd tell me a story of the person who gave it to her. Well, this came from Emily. I used to work with her in the phone company back in the 1940s. And it was special because of the person who gave it to her. And I think pictures and mementos and little souvenirs and things we have in our homes, they're wonderful memories. They remind us of the people and the events of our lives. So please make sure you look at those things in a new light today. This sounds like the start of a little joke. A priest, a judge, and a doctor went into a bar. Fortunately, I don't have a joke about that, but I do have a story. A priest, me, a lawyer, a judge, also, Bill Condrey from our parish, and a doctor, Dr. Musa, who's a heart specialist. We went in, not to a bar, but we went into the prime rib room at the Riverside this week. And so it was a priest, a judge, and a doctor. We were in the prime rib room and we were having dinner together. I know it sounds like the start of a joke, but it was really a wonderful evening out. Dr. Musa, who was the doctor of this group, is opening an office here in Laughlin, right next to Farmers Insurance. So it was really nice to get to meet somebody who sees paradise much the same way as I do, and who wanted to be part of our little community over here. So we went out for dinner to celebrate, and that was really, really nice. Now, most of you know that earlier this week, on Monday, in fact, Governor Sisolak gave a news conference, and at the news conference he was talking about the face masks that we're going to be wearing, I think for the rest of our lives, it sounds like sometimes. I know that doesn't sound terribly hopeful, but the face diapers are going to be around for a long time to come, it seems. But he mentioned something called Plan B, and I listened, and it sounded interesting, but not necessarily good. Plan B is that if you have a venue with over 4,000 fixed seats, so that doesn't apply to us, we don't have 4,000 fixed seats anywhere, and you want to guarantee that everybody there will be vaccinated, you could sell tickets only to vaccinated people, and then they could come to the event, and you would be able to allow them to take off their masks because they were only in the company of other vaccinated people. Now, I think this brings up all sorts of constitutional issues, but I think it brings up the issue of faking the vaccination cards. I think it brings up the issue of discrimination and not allowing people free access. I think it brings up all sorts of problems, and I hope it is not the start down the dangerous road of vaccine passports. It's an option for larger businesses right now, and I hope it doesn't become something that we all will have to deal with every day. It reminded me of a quote by Fulton Sheen. Fulton Sheen, whom you know I admire so very much, had a Latin quote, Quo vadis America? Where are you going, America? I think that applies to our current situation. One of the times I wonder, do we know where we are going? In other news, you know that last weekend, on Saturday, the country of Haiti suffered a terrible earthquake, 7.2 on the Richter scale, and some of the aftershocks that came were 5 point something on the Richter scale. So far, they've got over 1,400 confirmed dead, over 6,000 injuries, some of whom they are having difficulty treating because of so much of the country and the hospitals and the medical staff is decimated by the thing. To make it even worse, they got 10 inches of rain this week from a tropical storm. Here we are dying for a few drops of rain, and they're getting 10 inches of rain at a time when they really don't need anything else to trouble the country. So please, in your prayers, remember Haiti. Pray for the people of Haiti. Pray for the backdrops of Haiti. Pray for those who are in any way supporting the people of Haiti right now. And the big news, I guess, this week was Afghanistan. Afghanistan, as you probably know, is a Muslim nation. There's a very, very small Christian presence in Afghanistan. In fact, there's only one official Catholic church, and it's located in the Italian embassy. It was allowed beginning in the 1920s by a treaty with Italy so that there could be a place only for foreigners, not for the native population, to attend Christian services, Catholic Mass. It was given over to an Italian religious order, the Barnabite Fathers, and so for almost 100 years there has been a Barnabite father from Italy at the Italian embassy, functioning as really the only Catholic priest in the country of Afghanistan. Now, of all the military troops that have been there, in many cases those troops have brought chaplains with them, so there have been other presences, but the only official one is in the Italian embassy in Kabul. I think there are some scattered groups of other Christian denominations throughout the country, but pretty much they operate underground. They operate in secrecy and hiding because of the Muslim population. Now, you know that in the aftermath of the terrorist attacks on 9/11/2001, which we're going to be remembering 20 years next month, the United States went into Afghanistan with troops to hunt down Al-Qaeda and the Taliban and those responsible for that terrible, devastating attack on our country. That was 20 years ago, and our country decided that it would withdraw from Afghanistan. But as you've seen on the news, the withdrawal has looked like a horribly unplanned event. The withdrawal has been an awful thing to watch. It's been humiliating to watch on the television, to listen to on the news. And within a matter of hours, the Taliban have taken over even the capital, so they now have just about 100% control in Afghanistan. Our embassy was evacuated. There's a presence of troops. We had to send back in 6,000, I heard this morning, 7,000 troops just to try to secure an airport to evacuate the Americans and the Afghani nationals who have worked with us over the years, because they're afraid they're going to be slaughtered in the takeover by the Taliban. It certainly brought to mind images and thoughts of Saigon in 1975, of Benghazi in 2012, and now we have Kabul in 2021. The images of that C-17 trying to roll down the runway, and Afghanis holding on to the wings, hoping that they would be taken away with that flight, and then falling to their death as it ran down the runway and lifted off. It's an embarrassment to the United States, but it's certainly something that image will remain in our hearts and our minds for a long, long time. Please keep the people, and especially the Americans who are trying to escape from Afghanistan, keep them in your prayers, and pray that they and their Afghani supporters can be taken to safety before something even more horrible happens over there. I did want to end the show on a bright note, and that is EWTN, the Eternal Word television network, celebrates 40 years this month. In fact, it was August the 15th, 1981, that EWTN, the Eternal Word television network, did their first broadcast. You all remember Mother Angelica, that indomitable nun who wanted to have an international, worldwide cable network for the Catholic Church. The Catholic bishops had tried for years to put something together and really had not been successful. But this nun from Irondale, Alabama, she managed to do it. She was an indomitable person, certainly a figure in the 20th century to be reckoned with, and 40 years ago, EWTN did their first broadcast. In honor of that, I have two quotes, two of my favorite quotes from Mother Angelica. "We did not happen to be. We were chosen by God to exist." Imagine going through life realizing that you're not just here as a chance, you're here by plan. God put you here. God wants you here. God stays with you here. And God keeps the entire universe in order and still has time to take a personal interest in you and me. What a wonderful view of God, Creator, the maker of all things, and keeping them in order. And still that God has time for you and me. Wonderful thoughts from Mother Angelica. Well, as you notice, we're over here in the Garces Center today. We're doing our filming. The room is coming together, my Garces Museum, a little bit better each week. So we're doing our filming here today. Pascal is not going to come down from the sky. He's going to come in from the side. Conveniently in a collection basket. And I thought it would be nice. We have a quote, Deus Tenet Universum in Ordine. It's the first part of one of Mother Angelica's sayings. God keeps the universe in order. Don't forget that. The universe is ordered, it's rational, and it's here because of God, and so are we. God bless you, and have a wonderful week.